rich men north of Richmond, Lord knows they all just want to have total control. Living in
That is such a valuable piece of advice there.
These are the sorts of things that we should talk about right in the first 5 minutes of the podcast.
Started giving people free quotes.
In sunshine and rainbows, it is
Definitely a thing for just being a solo
The
operator.
change in mindset makes a massive difference.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars.
Hayden, I love talking about equipment, and I guess my listeners want to know when somebody starts up a business what equipment they choose and why they choose it. So I'm wondering if Fox is like gyms in terms of giving you an equipment list and saying you need this trailer, you need this tool.
Yeah, they have all the trailer part of the package and that sort of thing, and it's a great trailer, got everything you need, and they also give you the startup pack with the steel combi, all the sort of petrol stuff, the DMC Honda mower.
Okay,
Yeah, and that's all been really good. But I'm pretty passionate about the battery stuff, and I had a bit of the Ego brand.
Yeah.
I'd been buying myself before I even thought about buying the franchise, so that was good. And I've added a few things as I've gone along. I've got the new commercial mower, which has been excellent.
Yeah.
The new Ego commercial mower, and I've got the commercial whipper snipper, the line trimmer, the STX 4500. That's been incredible. And also got the hedger, commercial hedger, and just a few things like that. And I'm planning to get the whole range at some stage, in commercial range anyway.
Nice. Yeah. So how many batteries are you running at the moment with that?
I think I've got about 10. I've got three of the 12 amp, and that's fine for what I've been doing. And then I've got about four 7.5 amp ones, and about five amp ones.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So with the 12 amps, so you finding 3 batteries will get you through a pretty busy day, or are you going back to the Honda mower?
I've had to use the Honda a couple of times, but the plan is to get the trailer set up with a Blue Eddy power bank in there at some stage with solar.
Okay.
I know you've talked about that a bit, and I know Ego's got a few new products coming out as well with the lithium battery, which might be an option as well. But yeah, that's something I'll look at in the next few months, heading into summer.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. Talking about the Blue Eddy power station, I've got a 2.2 kilowatt Blue Eddy power station in the back of my ute with a solar panel on top, and it does pretty well. But talking to other people in the industry, and this will vary depending on the type of usage that you have, it seems some people are chasing somewhere between that 2 kilowatts and 6 or 8 kilowatts to try and have enough battery with solar to keep on top of their needs for the day.
Yeah, but I think that's going to become better and better. You know, those solutions and that sort of thing.
Yeah, well, I think once you get over the hurdle of the technology you've got to buy as a part of it, then you're basically paying for the amount of battery storage you've got in your power station. So the Blue Eddy I've got the 2.2 kilowatts. You can add to that and just go, all right, let's buy another 2 kilowatt battery and plug it in, or bigger.
Exactly, and you're saving on fuel as well. My fuel bill's been huge, so cutting that down is a big reason as well for me.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the performance of it as well. I haven't had a bad product yet from Ego.
Yeah, so the new commercial unit, I haven't actually used that yet, and you're using that now. You find it comparable to your Honda in terms of power and
Oh, easy. Yeah. And I mean, I haven't put it through the really long lawns yet, but I put it through a couple, and
yeah.
it handles it fine.
So power-wise, no problem at all. I'm guessing
No.
runtime with most battery mowers, runtime drops off as you increase the power consumption or the thick grass.
Yeah, but actually, what you get out of the batteries has probably surprised me. Yeah. And just the cut and the bag, the plastic piece that clips sort of in. I find it really good, and that's just I find it really easy to use, and yeah.
I've been really impressed with the quality of design with Ego tools.
That's what I've noticed as well.
Yeah. So the only thing I've seen come up this week was people talking about lowering the blade height on those machines, and that raises a question about whether you're voiding warranty if you start putting a spacer in there, or whether you can put blades on that give you a lower cut height. But how have you found that? Is the cut height good?
Yeah, look, it goes plenty low enough for me. Yeah, I wouldn't want to be going any lower. But, I mean, if people are looking at doing lawn renos and that sort of thing, they might need to go lower, but you probably need to get specialised scalping mowers and that sort of thing for that. But, look, it hasn't been an issue I've been finding, so...
Yeah, that's good to know, because I think there's always going to be an element of the market that wants a lower cut, and Australia is one of those places where lower is better. So
yeah, that's right. And in America, they have it a bit higher.
Yeah,
but
for sure. So yeah, that'll be interesting to see how people go with that, whether they find a good solution that doesn't void warranty.
Yeah, but I think there's a few different options. You can put a mulch blade on them as well.
Yeah,
and that, but I haven't tried that. I'm happy with the cut it does. It does a really nice cut.
Yeah. So how do you find the whippersnipper, the STX 4500? You said you've been using.
I love it. Yeah. I find that really good. I find you only need it on one or two settings. You don't even need it on the third setting.
Yeah. And compared to your traditional petrol whippersnipper.
Yeah, well, I've got a Shindawa 303 as well, which is not their top of the range, but it's a fairly decent one, and I really like that. But this is just as powerful. And look, I'll go for the Ego most of the time, but I'll just keep the Shindawa and the Bush Ranger as well. The Bush Ranger's good. I'll keep that as a backup.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. Nice. So the other thing, the Ego hedge trimmer, you've probably got the pole header with the articulating head on it.
I haven't yet. That's on my to get list.
Okay. You said you had a commercial hedge trimmer with it?
Yeah, I've got they do the small one.
Okay.
Yeah. So which is commercial as well, but I want to get the articulated one as well. But I'm just using still using my still articulated one.
Yeah,
and I want
combo having the short one and the articulating one. The two beside each other just give you everything you need for hedge trimming.
That's it. And my plan is I've also had the Ego Combi with the pulsar attachment, and that's been really good, but the chain comes off it a little bit. So, but that's about 2 or 3 years old, and I'm gonna get the commercial one of that.
Yeah,
which
yeah, interesting. So you're still using your petrol tools, handheld tools as well, but you're favouring the battery tools whenever you can.
Yeah, for sure. And also, I was looking at getting a petrol chainsaw, but I thought I'll give the Ego a try, and I just got their little one-handed arborist one.
Yeah.
commercial one, and that was just so good. And just doing like tree cleanups and that sort of thing, I found it brilliant. It just cuts through. It cuts through big sort of trunks as well, and it's only, I think, about a 14-inch bar on it.
Yeah. Yep.
But I do need to get a bigger one.
Well, I've found, depending on the type of work you do and the amount of cleanup work you do, it's good to have about 3 or 4 different types of chain. So I've always had a top handle or arborist style chainsaw that's invaluable for doing cleanup work. But then the second one that's really valuable is a pole saw, because it just gives you that reach that you can't get when you're hanging onto the top handles.
Yeah.
And they're both comparable in power, but they give you a completely different solution.
And this one that's got a battery pack where you just put it on your belt.
Yeah,
it doesn't go on the chainsaw.
How do you find it to use? I've always been a bit wary of a chainsaw with a umbilical cord on it.
Yeah, well, it hasn't been a big issue, but it sort of a couple of times I did pull out a couple of times, but nothing where it's been, been too major.
As long as it's not causing safety issues for you, that's
no, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's the dilemma I've got at the moment, because I've got in the battery range, I've got the battery pole saw and I've got the battery arborist saw, not Ego. I've got Husqvarna, because I've been using a lot of Husqvarna tools before I started using Ego, and that's what I've been running there. But I've been looking more and more at that mid-size saw that I've got, and it's a still saw that I've got at the moment, so still petrol saw in the mid-size. And when I say mid-size, we're talking like a 16 to 18-inch bar with enough grunt to cut through a decent-sized log. And I've been wondering whether I can replace that with a decent battery unit. And I know there's some good battery units out there now. So
well, I'm gonna get the bigger Ego one that's about 700, the commercial one. So that's supposed to be really good.
I think that one looks really interesting. And I would say out of the 3 brands that are worth entertaining there at the moment, you've got the Ego, you've got the Still, and the Husqvarna make a decent sized battery that is worth looking at. So that's my dilemma at the moment, is which brand should I go for with that mid-sized saw? So I haven't really done any research on the power output, type of chain they use, or anything like that at the moment. But that's high on my agenda for my next.
Yeah, I watch a lot of the American sort of tool review stuff, and they review a lot of the American ones. And I would like to get a petrol one as well, just to have that option as well.
Well, this is my dilemma. I have the petrol one, and it's great. It's a Still. It's no problem saying I love my Still. But I've been looking at, can I replace it with a battery tool that will do as equivalent, an equivalent job, as good, if not better?
Well, it's got the power. I know the Ego one's got the power. The only thing holding it back apparently is the battery. Well, you need I think the commercial one, you need at least a 7.5 amp battery to be getting the high chain speed on it.
Fair enough. So it'd be interesting to have a closer look. I will start looking at that soon. There's 2 tools I need to replace from petrol, because working in an environment where you want to keep things quiet, the petrol chainsaw is really noisy, and the other tool that's really noisy is the petrol backpack blower. So they're both high on my agenda to replace, and so far the backpack blower, I'm not ready to pull the pin on any of the battery options.
Well, from what I saw the other day, the Aussie Long. He interviewed Barry, and the new blower looks new blower coming out. That looks great. Coming out in the next few months, hopefully. So that's supposed to be as powerful as the petrol backpack blowers.
That'd be interesting to see. I haven't had a chat to Barry about it personally yet, but I know he
Yeah.
talked to Ben and BJ about that one as well, and it certainly sounds impressive. So, yeah, I'm trying to line up another interview with Barry soon, so we'll have a chat with him.
Yeah, I'd love to see that. He's certainly interesting to watch, and I love what they're bringing out here. And there's also Husqvarna's doing some good stuff as well, and like they've got the sort of the handheld. I'm not sure what it's called, like the saw, sort of hand saw.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the model is or anything, but that Ego hasn't got that smaller. Like Milwaukee's got one as well.
Yeah, okay.
They've got
like a little pruning saw, a single-handed.
Yeah, exactly. To replace your silky sort of type branch.
I've been playing with a couple of Milwaukee tools in that end of the market, and they're really interesting. But I think for actual pruning work, I prefer to stay with an arborist saw.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I've got the Husky arborist saw. You've got the Ego one. Sounds like they're both really decent units. So.
Yeah, and it's all new to me, and I'm still learning that side of things. Yeah. But there's exciting stuff with all the different brands, and I see Toro's got a whole battery range come out.
Yeah,
I think I saw last week.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars. Do you want to leave your job to create a profitable and enjoyable lawn and garden business? Aussie Lawn Stars shares the stories, lessons and advice to help you grow a healthy, productive, efficient and sustainable business. Do you want more or simply have a question about what you heard? Contact Aussie Lawn Stars at iCloud.com or look me up, Gary Ashton, on Facebook and Messenger for individual help. Business coaching helps you to have the right mindset and perspective when it comes to daily decision making, planning, or knowing what to look for to improve your business. thinktankcoaching.com.au has helped me, and they can help you move towards your business goals. Visit their website or email them thinktankcoaching@outlook.com. If you want to establish the best practices in bookkeeping, accounting and business structure, contact Adrian from Prosper Financial on 0249 773363. And you all need to head to Lawn Mowing Contractors Australia and the Australian Professional Lawn Contractors Facebook groups for supportive communities focused on our industry.
Yeah.
All the competition's good.
I've seen
good for the industry.
A little bit about the Toro battery range in the US, but it really hasn't made an imprint in Australia yet. So it'd be really interesting to see what they hit the market with now.
Yeah, that's right. And I also looked at the Crest do a couple of chainsaws as well.
Yeah.
I haven't looked closely at them, but
yeah.
Then it's a whole different ecosystem to get into, and that which I don't really want to get into too many of them.
Yeah, I'm pretty impressed with some of the specs of the Crest gear, but I'm sort of reluctant to jump in there and have a close look at this stage. I think it'll be interesting to have a play with, but yeah, just they seem to have some different battery technology, which they're very cagey about sharing exactly what makes it different. So it could be good, but the initial reports I've heard on the tools, some of them might be a little bit heavy or need a little bit of refinement design work before they really become a big player in the market. But certainly they've entered the market very strong.
Yeah, and it's sort of I was a bit confused about how it all works, and they've got to be charging stations based in where you live and that sort of thing for.
Yeah, well,
that's more the robotics. That's more the robotic mower, I think.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think it depends on what you're talking about there. But I know with Crest, their battery charging rates they've made claim to are really impressive. So then you look at why that is, and is it because they've got different type of chemistry in the battery, or they've got different type of charger? And I think it might be both.
Yeah.
So if you're talking say your Ego tool at the moment, if you take a battery and you put it on your charger on 240-volt power, you're probably talking an hour charge on most of your Ego batteries. If you got the biggest charger for Ego and your 5-amp battery, you might get it down to about 35, 40-minute charge, I think.
Yeah.
With the Cress, a lot of their charge times are shorter than that. So one of their options gives you an 8-minute charge. Another one, you're talking sort of 15, 20-minute charge time. So that makes a massive difference in terms of the number of batteries that you need to have available to you if you can be cycling batteries quicker through their charging.
Yeah, that's it. And I think they're a lot more money as well on the batteries.
The other thing that'll come in there is if you're talking about cycling your batteries through their charges quicker is potential to have to replace your batteries sooner. Typically on your earlier lithium batteries, you get about 1,000 cycles out of it before it's getting less useful to you, whereas some of the newer technology in lithium, they're talking up to 10,000 cycles. So on average, 3 to 8,000 cycles or up to 10,000 cycles on some of the newer lithium batteries. If Cress is doing a really fast charge and you're okay, I'm cycling the battery 3 or 4 times or 6 or 7 times in one day, that's that much quicker before your battery needs to be thrown out.
Yeah. I think I was thinking about not the battery charge time, it's the way of they navigate their robotic mowers.
Yeah.
They've got to be set up in the cities or something like that. Is that correct?
So when you're talking about GPS navigation with robotic mowers, there's a couple of factors that come in there. Your original one in Australia is going to be a Husqvarna, and the Segway and the Husqvarna are going to be similar in that you have a GPS, or what they call an RTK base station that to the charging base, and the GPS systems allow, and GPS is the wrong word, but the RTK systems, they allow your base station and your robot to triangulate, so it gives you the accurate GPS for doing systematic mowing instead of random mowing. So that's a factor that comes up with any of the systematic mowers. And the Cress, I believe what they do, instead of having an RTK base attached to each mower, they have an RTK base that will cover an area around a city or town. So if you have an RTK base for Cress in your area, then you can set up an RTK Cress robot. But if you don't, you don't.
Yeah, that's what I've heard about it. Yeah.
So my understanding is they've set up a lot of these for Sydney, Brisbane areas. I don't know whether they're reaching out to the more rural areas like Dalby.
Yeah, that's it. I think that'll obviously take a while. We're only just getting proper NBN, so that's. But then again, there's a lot of technology's just amazing pace at the moment. You've got we use Starlink here and get better speeds for internet than we used to get in the city. So
yeah, well, we're still waiting for decent NBN in my area too. At the moment, we're lucky if we're getting 50 megabits down.
Yeah, so it's like the pace of technology coming through now is exciting.
It sure is. It'd be interesting to see how that improves over the next little while. I'm really looking forward to having better internet for podcasting.
Yeah, for sure. But it is great, but there's some things where it's not as good. The gaming and that sort of thing, it's not as a little bit of lag. Yeah.
Yeah, fair enough. I can imagine that the Starlink is great for some things and not so great at others.
Yeah.
Yeah. So in terms of just coming back to your tools and your equipment, a lot of people, I guess regional areas, you start looking at going for larger mower. So your DMC Honda is going to be a 21-inch. Your Ego is going to be 21 or 22 inches, I think it is.
22, I think it is, yeah.
I sort of am reluctant and even warn people against getting a 32-inch mower, but that can be a really good size for doing residential jobs if your gates are large enough to get in, if the properties are at a size where it's beneficial to have a 32-inch mower. So you've gone down that path, I think, at 32.
Yeah. I got the Gravely Pro Stance 32-inch.
Yeah.
And
How have you found that in
and
terms of productivity?
I found it really, really good for the smaller blocks, and like you say, it'll fit into the standard size gate, and it does a really nice cut as well. And I have the Catch Pro on there.
Yeah. Nice.
So yeah, that's a good solution, and it was really working well for me.
Yeah. Okay. So have you been looking at doing larger properties? Because what I'm angling at there, as soon as you get into quarter acre or larger, the 32-inch feels out of place. It's not as quick as you'd like it to be.
Yeah, and that's what I did hear you mention on a lot of the podcasts I heard you talk about. A lot of the time with the 32-inch, if you're getting that in there, it'll fit the bigger ones in the backyards as well.
Yeah, so it sounds like the 32's been good for you, though, in terms of that balance between fitting through gates and being able to maximise productivity. So, yeah, I look at the next size up, the 42-inch machine, is really good for residential properties in my area because I've got larger gates. But then the 42-inch, as with the 32-inch, they feel useless as soon as you're doing an acre or anything that size. That's where you start going, all right, the 48 as the bare minimum, maybe a 52 or a 60-inch machine.
Yeah, that's where I'm sort of looking now. I spoke to you. I had a big drama with my Gravely caught on fire last week. So looking at potentially look at something bigger there in the stander or a sit down. Around the 52-inch, I think it'd be a real sweet spot there in terms of efficiency and productivity.
52-inch is great in terms of productivity, but they've got a real good range of options available across the brands, from fairly low-powered 52-inch through to the really high-powered 52-inch machines. So if you're on a budget, you can still get a 52-inch machine and it'll do great finish mowing. But if you want to do overgrown work with a 52-inch machine, they have insane options up around the 35 through to 40 horsepower machines that will demolish overgrown work.
Yeah, and that's exactly what the right that you use is right up there. And also, I think the Skag do the XL version with 40 HP.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive.
So that's something to think about. And yeah, so that's definitely what I want to target, the bigger properties. So yeah, I think that's something I'm sort of thinking about.
I would often warn people, like I did with the 32, but I would often warn people looking at doing large properties to not jump in and spend, $15,000 to $30,000 on a machine unless you've got an income lined up. If you've got the spare cash, sure, throw it at it. But if you haven't got the income lined up, I tell people to think twice before spending the money. Make sure that you're going to get value out of that machine, because it's a lot of dollars to have sitting there. You don't have the
and I mean, I'd love to be able to afford the Walker or the second-hand Gianni Ferrari or something like that for the catching side of it. But that's not something I've realistically got the work for. And I think the Walker, I could definitely make use of it. But you're talking about, like they're up to the 45, 50,000 for the commercial version. And, even secondhand, like a decent one, I think they're up around the $25,000 mark. So it's a lot of money.
Not too far from
here.
It's like, oh man, if I was in need of a catching Walker, I'd be on that.
Yeah, that's right. And that's definitely something I'd like to build up to that. Yeah, but I think the standard's sort of more versatile, I think.
Well, I think that's
Especially,
something you got to weigh up at the moment. And this is why I was saying I would normally warn people against going to a 52-inch machine if they don't have the work. But I think in your area, the sort of semi-rural, semi-regional areas, there's a lot of acreage work and a lot of places where that 52-inch machine is the right size. I guess the biggest factor for you is going to be what's going to give you the best productivity, sit down or and if you're looking at doing overgrown jobs, a sit down is almost a better choice because they're better designed for a lot of reasons. But yeah, the stand on's great, easy to get on and off quickly. The sit down is going to be a little bit more comfortable when you're sitting on it for a while, and probably give you slightly better footprint overall when you're working. The stand on's better footprint when you're trying to transport it on a trailer.
Yeah, I do enjoy the stander though, in terms of the feel of it, operating it. Yeah, but then again, there's, like you say, if you're on it all day, you're standing.
Yeah, but I've had both, and I find there's pros and cons either way. And just looking at what you've got available and what's in front of you.
Welcome to Aussie Lawn Stars. Do you want to leave your job to create a profitable and enjoyable lawn and garden business? Aussie Lawn Stars shares the stories, lessons and advice to help you grow a healthy, productive, efficient and sustainable business. Do you want more or simply have a question about what you heard? Contact Aussie Lawn Stars at iCloud.com or look me up, Gary Ashton, on Facebook and Messenger for individual help. Business coaching helps you to have the right mindset and perspective when it comes to daily decision-making, planning, or knowing what to look for to improve your business. thinktankcoaching.com.au has helped me, and they can help you move towards your business goals. Visit their website or email them, thinktankcoaching@outlook.com. If you want to establish the best practices in bookkeeping, accounting, and business structure, contact Adrian from Prosper Financial on 0249 773363. And you all need to head to Lawn Mowing Contractors Australia and the Australian Professional Lawn Contractors Facebook groups for supportive communities focused on our industry.
The sit down offers you a big advantage in terms of keeping the exhaust away from the deck.
Yeah, that's it, and that's definitely a consideration, as I've found out. Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it depends what your primary purpose is. And if you're doing a lot of overgrown jobs, I'd push you that way. But if you're doing a mix of everything, the stand on is a more versatile machine most of the time.
Yeah, and that's right. And I would like to eventually get the walker, but doing the overgrown blocks and that sort of thing, it's probably not ideal for it. It can handle it, but then you're putting unnecessary wear on it, and they're not really designed.
Daniel Smith mowing everything with his Gianni Ferrari over and everything, and I'm like, I understand his business model.
Yeah,
he's very unique doing overgrown work with a catching mower.
Yeah, that's it, and he's definitely making a go, and he's got the great setup with the truck. I've watched that, and yeah, that's a beautiful setup. That's for sure.
No doubt. It works well for him, but I don't know anybody else in Australia that does that.
No, that's right. And look, I think and one of the local guys here, he does a bit of the council contracting, and he's got the big Toros, and they do a beautiful cut. The mulching and geez. I won't get into the mulch versus catch debate, but they've all got their place, don't they?
Look, it's fun to have a bit of mudslinging, but it's Ford versus Holden at the end of the day. And realistically, you're better off looking at it going, okay, what does the customer need? What do they want? And what can I deliver best? And
that's right.
If you have a bias towards one or the other, you can find customers that suit your bias, or you can sit there and go, okay, it doesn't really matter what my bias is. What's going to make me money?
That's exactly it. And horses for courses.
And that's why I look at, Tim the Lawnmower Man, and he's pretty famous on all the socials. Yeah. He went from doing overgrown jobs with the wrong machine to getting an AS Motors flail mower. And it's like the moment he got that, I was like, finally, he's got the right tool for the job.
Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they're not cheap, though, are they?
it's not cheap, but if you're going to cut tall grass and make it short, then you want something that is designed to slash. So
Yeah, I
whether
think
a
I think it's ideal for what he's doing. Yeah, for the
and there's a bunch of machines that are the right tool for that job, but a lot of us lawn mowing contractors will use what should be labelled as a finishing mower to do overgrown jobs, and I've done it many times myself. And now I sit there and say, okay, that's great, do it, but don't do it all the time. If you're going to do overgrown jobs all the time, go and get a tractor and a slasher or a AS Motors
yeah.
slasher like Tim's got.
Yeah, that's it. And sometimes you just think, even with a bigger one, like, wow, that's really a job I should have got a slasher in to do.
Yeah. Well, I guess, like I said, do a job like that. Don't shy away from it. But there are times where it's easier to refer the job on to somebody else. Or
Yeah,
if you've got a lot of them, then start going, okay, I need to buy equipment that's dedicated to doing that work.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. So, Hayden, have we missed any of the equipment that we should talk about? I think we've covered most of your equipment.
Yeah, that's pretty well it in terms of equipment wise. Just sort of weighing up what I'll go with next. There's a few options out there, which is great. Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm curious as to what it's going to look like for you over the next 2 to 5 years. Obviously, you're one of the businesses I've interviewed that is in its infancy, and I'm happy to do interviews like this. It's always interesting. But I guess forecast the next 2 to 5 years, I'm going to predict you're getting a 52-inch mower or a 60-inch mower. What do you think in terms of that time?
Yeah,
your job.
I think that's where I've tried not to get too carried away.
That's
start out with the 32-inch, but I think after what happened with it last week, I think I was just not the right machine for the job, and I want to look at what I want to get into, so I do need to go something bigger. But that's where I definitely like to head towards, and I just I suppose I don't want to take on too much and not have the work come in. That's the worry. But I think with the summer coming up and all looking, it's going to be a lot more positive, and think I'll definitely get the use out of it. I don't think it's too risky.
Yeah. So what do you think your business model will look like in that time frame? You think you'll fill your schedule up, obviously, but you want to see a balance between the residential, commercial acreage. What does that look like for you?
Yeah, I'd like to build up to sort of 50% of each, 50% residential, commercial, bigger acreage, and that'd be ideal. Just to keep the schedule full, and and that will hopefully happen. But it's certainly had it's been challenging, and I'm certainly made my share of mistakes in terms of quoting and that sort of thing. And it's a huge learning curve as well. Just you're learning everything in a short time, and
yeah, that's it. I think that's like we said, your business is 6 months old.
That's it.
So it'll be interesting to see how that comes through over the next couple of years, and certainly in the next 5 years. But the work will come through for you. I guess it's just a matter of what that looks like in that time, and be interesting to talk to you to see where you've.
Yeah, well, that's another thing that's been really incredible, and I must say another huge positive about this job is I love listening to all the podcasts and love learning new things, and just the resources and support you get on even LMCA is unbelievable. But just the podcast now, there's another one I listen to, the grassroots one, and that's just great, and just that those guys working together and doing the show together, and I find it really interesting and so positive. And all the other ones as well. There's skull sessions and that, and I enjoy them all. But you're learning new stuff all the time, and just a lot of helpful stuff from people that have been doing it a long time, like yourself, and made those mistakes. And
that's it. I think the podcasts in Australia are a massive benefit, but I can't stop telling people that joining LMCA is one of the best things you can do.
Yeah, for sure. And just look, I think I mainly joined it first just to researched all what was the best gear, and and everyone's sort of got their different opinions on it and what works for them, and that's something you learn yourself, and and you get to know what you like and what suits you, but then there's all sort of just there's so much advice on there, in every aspect of it, of the industry.
Yeah, that's it. That's great. I think that's a great place to wrap this interview up. I've enjoyed talking to you, Haydn. It's been great.
No, thank you for the opportunity of coming and speak to you. And anyone that's thinking about going down the franchise route, give Fox a call, Leo in the office, or Jim's, or whoever that you like to go with. Or if you want to go the independent way, there's enough work out there, I think, for everyone.
For sure. Definitely. It's, that's, I think, one of the goals of what I'm doing, podcasting, is to help people find a way to do it successfully.
Yeah, that's right. Exactly. And you've still got to put the work in if you do go with a franchise, you've still got to build the business up yourself.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Haydn, thanks for your time this afternoon. I'll let you go so you can spend some time with your family.
Thank you for listening to Aussie Lawn Stars. Please remember to rate and review the show on the Apple Podcasts app or the player you use. Exciting new shows are released every Monday. Make sure you follow or subscribe to hear the next episode.